Today I want to discuss a fascinating topic. In China, the general public has long adopted a mindset of lying flat, but the bureaucratic system's embrace of this attitude is, in fact, even more pronounced. In today's Chinese officialdom, the prevailing culture is one of perfunctory effort, evasion of responsibility, and formalism. Every task, whether significant or minor, requires forming a dedicated task force, submitting reports to the system, filling out endless paperwork, and extolling its grand importance. Every managerial action must leave a paper trail. The bureaucracy is saturated with pretense and trivialities. These cumbersome, meaningless procedures exhaust and demoralize civil servants, leaving no one willing to tackle real work, promote genuine industrial progress, or advance projects that truly benefit the public. Naturally, no bureaucrat is eager to assume decision-making responsibility. Consider, for instance, a highway in Guizhou at serious risk of a landslide. There are three potential solutions ranked by safety from best to worst. Naturally, the safest option is also the most costly. At this juncture, a bureaucrat with decision-making authority must step forward to select one. What's the likely outcome? I can tell you, after careful deliberation, the bureaucrats will almost certainly choose to do nothing and let the landslide occur. Why? Because avoiding a decision means that if the highway collapses due to a landslide, the blame falls on the shoddy engineering of a predecessor. The responsibility lies with them, and as the current official, you'd face at most criticism for oversight, a minor lapse in leadership. But if you make a choice, regardless of the option, you inherit the burden of your predecessor's engineering flaws. From that moment on, you bear all future responsibility. In today's intense political climate, with the disciplinary inspection system's pervasive and relentless enforcement, choosing to take on that burden is tantamount to career suicide. The day after you make such a decision, your name is flagged by the disciplinary system. From then on, you become a reserve metric for disciplinary officials to meet their quotas whenever needed. So, let's closely examine this disciplinary inspection system that strikes fear into the bureaucracy. What are its results? How many officials are investigated annually, and how many are senior bureaucrats? Understanding this sheds light on Chinese officialdom. My data comes from the annual reports of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection. Let's start with case filings. In 2013, the disciplinary system filed 172,000 cases annually. This number steadily climbed, reaching 638,000 by 2018, a remarkable 2.7-fold increase in 5 years. This sharp rise is striking. It demonstrates that after Xi Jinping assumed power, the disciplinary system was wielded as a tool to maintain authority, with a large-scale purge of officialdom as a deliberate goal. Thereafter, case filings stabilized at around 600,000 per year through 2023, when the total was 626,000. In 2024, however, there was a dramatic surge to 877,000 cases, a 40.1% year-on-year increase. This indicates that 2024 was an even more turbulent year for officialdom, necessitating a larger purge to reassure the leadership. Now let's examine the number of individuals disciplined. I must clarify 3 points. First, these figures reflect formal disciplinary actions issued by the system: warnings, demerits, demotions, dismissals, expulsions, or referrals for prosecution. Lighter measures, such as cautionary talks, are excluded. Second, nearly all those disciplined are party members. The system can handle non-party cases, but these are a negligible fraction, so I'll disregard them here. Third, the vast majority of disciplined party cadres are active officials with some authority. Retired cadres disciplined are exceedingly rare, so I'll exclude them as well. As for the lowest-tier civil servants, they seldom face disciplinary action. Including public institutions and state-owned enterprises, no official count exists for active cadres at or above the deputy section level. A widely accepted estimate suggests China has about 90 million people on the government payroll, with roughly 4.4 million active cadres at or above the deputy section level. At the top, centrally managed cadres, those at or above the deputy ministerial level, overseen by the organization department, number around 3,300. Since there's been no trend toward expanding government positions recently, I'll assume the number of active cadres remains at 4.4 million annually, and centrally managed cadres at 3,300. In 2013, 182,000 individuals were formally disciplined, representing 4.14% of active cadres. This ratio was relatively modest. By 2018, the number surged to 621,000, or 14.11% of active cadres, a concerning figure. Subsequently, the number disciplined remained around 600,000 annually, with the proportion hovering near 14%. In 2024, the number jumped to 889,000, with 20.2% of active cadres disciplined, a truly alarming rate. In a single year, 1 in 5 active cadres faced formal discipline, and such an action typically ends a career in officialdom with no chance of recovery. I must emphasize that being an official is a lifelong commitment. You can't focus solely on 1 year's data. Risks persist year after year, so cumulative figures are critical. From 2013 to 2024, 6.232 million cadres were disciplined, exceeding the 4.4 million active cadres by 42%. This reveals a harsh truth. Since Xi Jinping took office, the average active cadre has received 1.4 formal disciplinary actions. Of course, these cadres are continuously weeded out. A single disciplinary action typically leads to replacement by a newcomer. Statistically, if you were a cadre before 2012, your chance of being eliminated by now is 78.16%. If you lie flat, make no decisions, and let a landslide destroy a highway, you'll likely face only a conversation, with minimal risk of mid-career elimination. But one decision, one instance of taking responsibility, gives you an 80% chance of being ousted. Faced with these odds, would you lie flat or act decisively? Now let's consider centrally managed cadres, high-ranking officials at or above the deputy ministerial level. Previously, reaching this level was a career pinnacle, with a high likelihood of a secure retirement. In 2013, only 0.94% of these cadres were disciplined. By 2024, this rose to 2.79%. Cumulatively, from 2013 to 2024, 755 centrally managed cadres were disciplined, representing 22.88% of their total. For these top officials, this ratio is extraordinarily high, fostering profound insecurity and leading them to avoid major decisions or responsibilities for systemic reform or industrial advancement. The collective inaction of these senior cadres has graver consequences than that of grassroots officials. It means the nation loses its capacity to address risks. Events like a landslide destroying a highway in Guizhou will become commonplace, ultimately threatening the country's economic security, financial stability, and social order. In the first quarter of 2025, disciplinary authorities filed 220,000 cases and disciplined 185,000 individuals. Extrapolating from this, 2025's total cases and disciplinary actions are likely to match 2024, exceeding 800,000 in both. Consequently, the bureaucracy will lie even flatter, without the slightest hint of activity. Next, let's discuss the Central 8 regulations and the disciplinary system's fervent enforcement of them. Officially titled, The 8 Regulations of the 18th Central Political Bureau on Improving Work Style and Staying Connected with the Masses, they were enacted in December 2012 as the first of Xi Jinping's major initiatives, and they remain a priority today. These regulations cover grassroots engagement, meeting streamlining, writing style improvement, overseas visit protocols, leader security reforms, leader news reporting guidelines, restrictions on leaders publishing personal works, and, crucially, the 8th regulation, practicing frugality. The first 7 regulations primarily constrain senior bureaucrats, implying that only loyal, elite insiders can enjoy true privileges. Officials from humble backgrounds shouldn't mistake their ministerial or centrally managed status for elite status. The central authorities can deal with them as they see fit. Only the 8th regulation, frugality, directly impacts grassroots civil servants. Frugality, however, is vaguely defined. What meal cost qualifies as frugal? What alcohol is acceptable? Can civil servants organize team building? Can they dine together during such events? These ambiguities grant disciplinary authorities wide discretion. Since their introduction, the 8 regulations have been the disciplinary system's second priority after corruption investigations. Much of their effort focuses on compliance with these regulations, with notable results. In 2013, 30,000 individuals were disciplined for violations. This number rose sharply to 92,000 in 2018, 198,000 in 2020, and 313,000 in 2024. Most violations involved the frugality clause, targeting grassroots civil servants with penalties like conversations or public criticism, short of formal discipline. For these grassroots workers, such a penalty ends their career prospects, relegating them to permanent low-level roles. From January to May 2025, Monthly reports indicate 141,000 individuals were disciplined for violations. At this rate, 2025's total will likely exceed 300,000. Moreover, on May 18, 2025, the strictest alcohol ban yet was issued, prohibiting civil servants from drinking in any setting. Even a sip of beer at home is a violation, subject to province-wide shaming. This suggests that 2025's violations could surpass 400,000, a remarkable situation. The disciplinary system now disciplines over 800,000 party cadres annually, while sanctioning over 400,000 grassroots civil servants for vague policies like the 8 regulations. Every civil servant lives under a constant threat, with punishment looming. You might escape this year, but next year your odds of being ruined approach 100%. Thus, grassroots civil servants counter top-level bureaucratism with their own formalism. You issue vague, empty policies and I respond with verbose, meaningless reports. Together, we pretend the nation is thriving, as if high-precision chips could be produced through sheer enthusiasm. Truly a technological powerhouse, isn't it? Thanks for watching and joining us on this journey to unveil China's many layers. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and hit that subscribe button to stay updated. See you in the next video.